Hey loves, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today guys, I'll be checking out this interesting video from the comment section with Brett Cooper, and it's titled "This may be the worst female superhero movie yet." You guys, I'm excited for this. If you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please consider subscribing. Give this video a massive thumbs up, comment, share, and all that good stuff. And without much ado, let's see what Brett Cooper has for us in this video.
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. So I feel like every time a new Marvel or Marvel adjacent movie comes out, we just have to make an episode because something goes wrong that we have to discuss. And the new Madam Web with Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney is no exception. I mean, that is when you know that it is really bad. When Sydney Sweeney and her assets and her fan base cannot even save a movie. We're going to talk about that today. Before we do, though, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you've not already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a comment section or Friday live stream. All right, so for copyright reasons, I cannot show you the full trailer for Madam Web, but go pause this, go watch it, and then come back. People have hated it from the get-go. I mean, look at this ratio on YouTube. It is so terrible, but also so glorious because it is so bad. Somebody commented and said, "I love the low-budget aesthetic. It is stunning and brave of the film executives and producers to make a feature-length film look like a CW special. Thank you, Sony Pictures, for warning me ahead of time before considering wasting my gas and purchasing a ticket to go see this." Somebody else said, "My brother was in a coma for 15 years. He woke up and turned this off. Thank you so much." It's literally how bad it is. Another person commented on YouTube and said, "You don't need to see the future to know how well this movie is going to do." Thankfully, we do not need to speculate anymore because the movie has come out, and like I said, it absolutely tanked. So Madam Web was made in conjunction with Sony. I don't exactly know, maybe you guys can explain this to me in the comments. I don't exactly know the agreement between Marvel and Sony because Sony has their own line of Spider-Man movies, but then Marvel also does some Spider-Man movies, I believe. So it's not Marvel, but it's made in conjunction with Marvel, but then Sony Pictures distributes it. I don't know if it's going to go on Disney Plus. I have no idea. There's some kind of relationship there. You guys can explain it to me. I'm sure you all know.
I will drink until next morning. Thank you.
It was released on Valentine's Day to absolutely terrible ratings, and it has only gotten worse. I think when it first came out on Valentine's Day, it had like a 21% on Rotten Tomatoes. It has 14% now, and it has a 3 out of 10 on IMDb. And on its first day in theaters, guys, it made a whopping $6 million. Now, it's estimated that over the President's Day holiday weekend, it'll creep up to maybe 20 or 30 million, but in order for it to be considered a box office success, it would need to gross $200 million. So we'll see how that goes. I do not have high hopes. I hope those people are crossing their fingers and their toes. And if these estimates are right, Madam Web would not only be the lowest grossing movie in the Sony Spider-Man universe, but it would also be the lowest grossing Marvel movie of all time. And I feel like I've said that so many times now. Like every time a new superhero movie comes out, I'm like, that's the lowest of the lows, guys. Like the Marvels came out in November and I was like, this is so bad. It only made X amount of money. I think it only made $200 million at the box office, but their budget was $274 million. So I don't even know if they broke even at all, but it's so terrible. But this one is the worst. Great job, Hollywood. You are seriously crushing it. You know what audiences want.
Crushing it.
And I cannot tell you guys how terrible people think this movie is. The Rolling Stones even called it the Cats of superhero movies. Like, that is possibly the worst criticism that you could give a movie, because that Cats movie, the musical one with Taylor Swift, that quite honestly was like a drug-induced fever dream for everybody who watched it.
It's like if Coffee and Nightmares had a baby.
Anyway, somebody tweeted and said, "Yeah, Madam Web is somehow worse than you feared. One of the worst movies ever made in any genre. Story makes absolutely no sense. The action is boring with barely any cape stuff. Dakota Johnson looks as bored as you'll feel. It makes Morbius look like the Dark Knight." I seriously cannot wait for Scheller to do a reaction to this movie because I know he will. If you guys are new to my channel, Scheller is my former producer. He used to be on the show all the time. He now has a movie review channel. It's called Hard Cut. He is going to absolutely rip into this, and I cannot wait. Somebody else tweeted and said, "Madam Web might be the closest thing we get as a spiritual successor to 04's Catwoman. Maybe one of the most baffling films I've ever gotten to witness, filled with characters so uninteresting, an overabundance of eye-rolling dialogue, and editing so nauseating, I was in awe." Like, these tweets are not just, "I didn't like the movie, it sucked." They despised it because it was so bad. Speaking of the editing, you have to watch this.
Wow, you guys, I don't think I have ever seen a movie with such amount of negative rating, and for that movie to have made just $6 million instead of 200 million tells a lot of how bad it is. And if you have seen that movie, was it that bad of a movie? And if you haven't seen it, would you be seeing it since it has so much bad rating? Leave it in the comment section down below, and let's continue watching, you guys.
You have to watch this exclusive clip that Sony released. This was released by the production before the movie came out. They were like, ooh, this is gonna get people going. This was the exclusive clip. Dakota Johnson running to a car, getting in the car.
Hi, sir. All right, I'm gonna cut your...
Watch it again. She's running. She's just gotten in. And then it cuts to her already being under the car. How does that make sense? That is apparently in the first scene. They were like, yep, this is it. We're gonna show this to everybody. They're gonna love it. This is gonna really rope people in the first 5 minutes of this film. Like, are you kidding me? That's the best clip you had to release, please. Somebody else tweeted and said, Madam Web is an embarrassing mess. Talented stars wasted on probably the worst comic book movie I've ever seen, filled with atrocious dialogue, awkward editing, and all-around laughable structure. I sat there baffled, scene by scene, that somebody approved this. The memes will redeem it. And they certainly will. That is the one good thing to come out of Madam Web. If you thought that the Morbius memes were out of control, that they were good, you have not been on Twitter in the last 48 hours. Madam Web is getting so much press for being so undescribably bad, like it's getting press for all the wrong reasons, that this movie might actually become some campy cult classic. And that's what Vox wrote last night. They waited to write anything about Madam Web. They dropped in some little feminist things, but they were like, just wait 20 years. It'll be super popular. This is a campy cult classic. I think that they're just trying to jump ahead of things, but I truly do believe, because of the response online, that it could become that. It's the one time you'll ever hear me agree with Vox. In that vein, somebody tweeted and said, Madam Web is the movie I've waited for all my life. I laughed. I cried. I cheered like hell. Was it good? Not at all. It was awful, and at times it genuinely angered me. But this latest Sonyverse adventure shows that there is still some life in the movies. Marvel is saving cinema. Is it? Somebody else said, I will say there are Spider-Man things in Madam Web that will make passionate Spidey fans howl with laughter. Web has the potential to reach the Room levels of appreciation. I'd absolutely watch it again in a theater full of people just to laugh along with them. Now, if you don't know, The Room, this is not the Brie Larson movie. It is far more famous than the Brie Larson movie, in my opinion, but it is often thought of as the worst movie of all time. And because of that, it is now wildly famous. It's infamous. It has this huge cult following, a huge fan base, and there's even a fantastic movie called The Disaster Artist about the making of that terrible movie. But the whole thing is hysterical. The timeline is wild. I could completely see that happening with Madam Web. Maybe we'll look back in 30 years and just think about how Madam Web was so reflective of this moment in time, this moment in Hollywood or something like that. I actually seriously would not be surprised if we were saying that exact same thing, considering Dakota Johnson's behavior throughout the whole press tour for Madam Web. Like, I have never seen somebody so bored and so disinterested in a film or Hollywood. Like, for example, she was recently doing an interview and she was asked about some of the other Spider-Man films, specifically the ones starring Tom Holland, and she had no idea about any of them.
And you named the 3 Spider-Man Tom Holland movies.
Yeah.
Should I just go on faith?
Yeah.
Oh.
Spider-Man, here he comes.
Here he comes. That's
yeah.
number
1.
Yep.
Spider-Man, and he's back. And the other one, the last one is the Goblet of Spider-Man.
Wow.
I mean, who better to cast for a movie in the Spider-Verse than Dakota Johnson, who seems like she would rather die than promote this atrocity of a movie. Somebody commented and said, this era of the MCU will go down as the worst time in cinematic history. We've talked a lot about the MCU. If you don't know what I'm referring to, we'll link some episodes below. People hate it, and they truly believe that it has destroyed Marvel forever.
I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
And I have to agree. Somebody else commented and said, Spider-Man, somebody stop her. Another person said she's never doing a superhero film ever again, LOL. Well, that's the thing, because I don't think she wants to. I don't even know if she wanted to do this in the first place. In another interview, this one was with Variety, she said that Hollywood right now was effing bleak. And honestly, I could not agree more. If you've watched any of my episodes about Hollywood, you know that I am 100% on board with this. But she said that she is discovering that it's really effing bleak in this industry. It is majorly disheartening. Quote, the people...
Wow, you guys, what are your thoughts on this movie, Madam Web? Leave it in the comment section down below. Do you think that is a total flop, or it might pick up as the year goes by? Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section. That is, if you have seen the movie, and if you haven't seen the movie, would you be seeing it? Leave it in the comment section, and let's wrap this video up, you guys.
The people running streaming platforms don't trust creative people or artists to know what is going to work, and that is just going to make us implode. It's really heartbreaking. It's just so effing hard. It's hard to get anything made. All the stuff I'm interested in making is really different, and it's unique, and it's very forward in whatever it is. Wow! It's almost like this is what we talk about on the show all the time. It's almost like this is what audiences have been saying for years. that it feels like there's this huge disconnect in what the studios and the streaming services are producing and what people actually want to watch. And apparently the artists are feeling that as well, which I love to see. I'm glad that we are all in this together. We are all fighting this because we are bored and we are fed up. Dakota Johnson, literally, guys, she went on SNL a couple weeks ago and she joked that this movie that she is promoting, that she is being paid to go promote right now, she joked that it was basically an AI creation.
I have a new movie coming out. It's called Madam Web. In the Marvel Universe, and it also stars Sydney Sweeney. So it's kind of like if AI generated your boyfriend's perfect movie.
And obviously, she might have been referring to the fact that it's Marvel and it's Sydney Sweeney and all guys like Sydney Sweeney, but like I'm sure she's also saying that the movie is terrible and it's just an absolute mess, and it is like AI created a movie. Think about that clip that we watched where the editing literally does not make sense. That is like one of those weird AI trends on Instagram where everybody's posting like, oh, my senior photos if I was a goth kid and their hand is like all messed up like that. That is what this movie feels like. This is what Hollywood feels like, just in general. It's copying and pasting the same thing over and over with a few slight tweaks, like maybe a race swap where they, dabbled in some female empowerment for extra spice. People are fed up. They are so bored. They don't even want to go see movies anymore. It's like when you're watching a commercial and they say nothing about the actual product. And all they talk about is their progressive ideology and their DEI, and you're sitting there and you're like, that's what you decided to produce? And then after you do, you need to call your friends and tell them how terrible Madam Web sounds, and then you need to get online and you need to laugh at all the memes with me. And even though it is Dakota's job to go promote this film, she's being paid to go promote this film, I hate to say it, but I kind of love the fact that she's acting so bored and unenthused because it does seem like the film is so absolutely terrible, and the project will literally do nothing for her career. In fact, guys, she fired her whole team of agents after the trailer came out and the response was so terrible, and that speaks volumes. Like, I can only imagine them telling her, you gotta do this, it's sort of Marvel, it's the MCU, you gotta be part of this, it's gonna be amazing. And she's like, I'm a serious actress, but there's nothing else going on right now, fine, I'll do it. It comes out, people hate it, and she literally drops them. Literally within the week that the trailer came out. Somebody on Reddit said the distancing act from this flick began almost immediately. Yeah. Somebody else said, I really hope there is a relation because she should have a drastic reaction to how terrible this movie looks. Like, there is nothing here to be grateful for or excited about at all. If anything, this is only making her career worse. But I am excited that yet another person in Hollywood is speaking out about how dry and objectively terrible so many of these new films look. And I'm glad to know that it's not just us being crazy or not having any taste. And on that note, I'm also happy that audiences are obviously speaking with their dollars and are telling Hollywood that they are fed up and bored with all of this. And why wouldn't they be? Hollywood has tanked the world's most famous cinematic universe, turned it into the female empowerment MCU or Sony Spider-Man She universe, however you want to say it, and literally shat on all of its core fans. Shocker. I wonder why people don't want to go see this movie.
Wow, you guys, that was such an interesting review from Brett Cooper. I had fun reacting to Brett Cooper. If you guys totally enjoyed watching, give this video a massive thumbs up, comment, share, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.